Hey guys, this is Scott from Aquascotics. It's been a long time. A lot has changed. I want to talk you through that. A couple of new exciting projects. Let's take a look. As you can see, there's one new addition, blaringly obviously in the center here. This is a 20-gallon high aquarium that I'm going to create a vivarium for dart frogs in. Basically, the 20-gallon high is on its side with the open top facing us. My dad had a sheet of acrylic that I cut down. These are acrylic hinges, and I used a special glue to weld it to the frame of the plastic, and it actually melts to the plastic and becomes one, just like you would an acrylic seam for a tank. As you can see, I kind of got far ahead in the build process. There's a magnetic catch, and then there's the clay balls for the drainage layer. That is egg crate background. That's to support the foam. I've heard a lot that the foam separates from the glass, even if you add silicone to the glass first. So that egg crate will act as a backbone to keep everything supported. This piece of wood I actually won at my raffle at my Chicago Plant Society. And yeah, so that's great stuff. Pond foam, black foam with black silicone over it. And on top of that is cocoa husk, cocoa fiber. So I got some plants on order from Josh's Frogs. And basically got the vivarium pack. It's got some bromeliads, some vines, some ferns. Should be really cool. Next step is substrate. I got a piece of mesh cut, and then we'll go with some moss and some leaf litter. I got this frog moss by Zoomed, and this light is temporary, I think. We'll see how it does. It's just an LED bulb. I don't think it's going to be bright enough. So over here, I got a piece of mesh. And this is just gonna fiberglass mesh to keep our drainage layer and our substrate layer separate. As you can see, I cut it so it overhangs the sides. Just throw that in. And then we're gonna just shovel our substrate right on top. This is actually, I started this probably 2 months ago, so it's been a slow process, just gathering the materials, doing more research, doing a lot of research on dendroboard, and yeah, going from there. We actually had a speaker come to CAPS, Chicago Aquatic Plant Society. Her name was Kara Wade, and she did a paludarium talk. So I got a lot of my inspiration. The egg crate idea for the back structure was from her, and she was really my inspiration. I had to do it. I made a custom stand, just whipped something out of wood, and I don't know if this is going to be its final home because it's kind of tight, but for now, good enough, I guess. And then as far as the bow front, there's some new additions. I went and found an angel breeder on Craigslist and bought 15 baby angels. So as the last video, I did win some angelfish on Facebook, and they ended up dying. Actually had a CO2 mishap, and my CO2 was blowing uncontrolled into my tank and poisoned everything. The guppies came back. They survived just fine, but the angels that I had won, the 6 angels, were small and had just traveled from Arkansas, so they didn't make it, unfortunately. I wanted to get back into some angels, so I actually bought 15 angels. I've got 12 in the 72, and then over here in the 35, I've got 3 in here. And the guy actually threw in one extra one, this black guy right here, which I think he's really cool. I'm a big fan. So anyways, as you can see, the pearl weed's taking off. There's one little tiny piece of S. repens back there. It's not doing so good for me. I don't have CO2 or anything. Doing the Cade 1 coldness filter. Only half my bubbles are bubbling. And then this is, I think it's dwarf Sagittaria. Anyways, that was from a tissue culture. I don't know. It's kind of taken off slow. This was a piece of needle leaf Java fern that I super glued to this piece of wood. It's starting to do good. And then over here back in the back there, that's Java, that's Valsinaria. That obviously is doing a lot better. Starting to fill in. I'd like to fill in around the Buddha here. See, I can't think of the name of this plant at the moment. But anyways, here's the latest update. Lots of guppies, as you can see, and now some angelfish. Hoping the angelfish will take care of some guppy babies. And from now on, I'll keep you updated with both. We'll do vivarium, dart frog videos, and we'll do guppy videos. One other thing I wanted to mention just down below here. I've got some cultures going. I picked up some cultures. I joined Poison Dart Froggers, and I also joined Chicagoland Froggers, and I got myself a culture of springtails, which is hard to see with the lighting situation. Like this. Hard to see. Anyways, and then in here is dwarf white isopods. There's not so many in there. I kind of have a hard time finding them. You might have to just take my word for it. Yeah, I see some springtails, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I have these guys warm enough to really take off. I heard on Aquarimax Pets that these dwarf, there's a few, but they're not moving. There's one. I was watching Aquarimax Pets videos, and he said that these dwarf whites like to be warm. Oh, there's one. So they're in here, but they're not really like exploding. Oh well. And then before the winter time took off, I went outside with my son and we gathered some moss from outside. I created this propagation bin, and I'm hoping to get a nice moss colony to propagate my vivarium. This clover stuff just kind of came along for the ride, and it looks pretty cool. This bin is the same setup as the vivarium. As you can see, the mesh around the outside, it's got the same clay ball drainage layer, and then it's got the mesh followed by cocoa fiber. It's a mix of cocoa fiber, orchid bark, charcoal, like aquarium charcoal, and then also there's some peat moss mixed in. So I spray this like once a week, once every couple of weeks. Doesn't really need much. I mean, it's just moss. There were some isopods, roly-polies that I found outside. I threw them in here too, but I don't know how they're doing because they disappeared. Hopefully they're doing well. I also threw some springtails in here as well. And then over here, in this jar, that's the Daphnia culture. But I don't know. I think I killed them. I don't really see any Daphnia really. I had a hard time feeding them. Might be something in there, but I don't really see anything moving. Anyways, so a lot of new things, a lot of changes, but I'm pretty happy about it. Loving these angelfish. Since they're from Chicago, the group, it didn't have far to go. The guy was only 20 minutes from my house, so they didn't have any weird issues with traveling, and they're eating and they're really come up to the glass when I'm up here, so I'm really quite happy. Anyways, sorry it's been so long, and glad to be back. We'll start doing regular videos, and if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, stick around, and you got any questions or comments or suggestions, let me know down below. Thanks again. This is Scott from Aquascotics signing off. Peace.